Hello everyone, good night, thanks for staying. I know you are staying for the after talks that you're gonna have some extra conversation. It's a great pleasure to be here right now, thanks to everyone. And we would not be here without the support of the NEO Council, and in particular, Peter Lin. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, I'm Peter from NEO. It's my first time to Australia. Okay, before I introduce new research to you, I need to say something about the problems that NEO has these days. Okay, some people just ask me why the NEO has this delay problems. So actually, all problems that you met recently was caused by these two problems. One is delaying problem. The second is syncing problem. So what's the delaying problem? So as some of you know that the consensus time of NEO is about 15 seconds, right? And recently it costs about 15 seconds to even an hour. So what's happening? Actually, you know, some projects had their airdrop in NEO recently, and they had to send lots of transactions in such a short time. So TPS is very high, which causes the problem that NEO consensus node cannot connect to each other. So actually, we knew this problem when we tested, and we knew it a long time ago. But you know, there were only about 5 to 10 transactions per block in NEO last year. But if you check the blockchain this year, you will find some. There are about 500 transactions in one block. So these are really so many transactions for now. So this caused a P2P problem, and we solved the problem about last week, and everything, as our test shows that everything should be fine. But it's not it's unstable now because you know we have 7 consensus nodes and we have lots of common nodes in community. So we need to do it step by step. Okay. The second problem is about the syncing problem. As some of you know that some nodes just stuck with about 200,190 the block height. And it's not a very big problem. We just released the latest version of NEO CLI. The version number is 2.7.3. And you can just use this latest version of NEO CLI and download the offline blockchain data package to resync your NEO nodes. Everything will be fine. I just upgraded my own nodes yesterday, and everything goes well today. So I think I spent a lot of time with these guys these days, and they talk to me about lots of crazy plans. So let's hear about them. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you a lot, Peter. And well, so we just started the live of our project like 1.5 months, and we already have many crazy plans. So we are the new research team. The idea of our group is to unite some things that we will explain in our logo, some crazy things. Well, a brief introduction. Me and Victor, he's my brother. And we are researchers. So we came from the scientific field, and now we are trying to apply our scientific knowledge from optimization field, high-performance computing field, to this project and for NEO in special. Well, we have many things, but this time we will go faster. Starting with our logo. So this is our logo, the idea of bringing open technologies for all Earth citizens and global citizens. And the greens means the smart economy integration that we can achieve. And the red is more like Mars. This is more like planets. And the idea of having advanced communications in fault tolerance and even high delay networks. Because we think blockchain came to stay. So if today we put people on Mars and they using NEO or any blockchain, how will that behave? So this kind of things is things that we are already studying and making sure that will work.
Quantum communication and quantum security.
Yeah. So the white part is related to applications of blockchain technologies in engineering, natural, social sciences in general. So we have this vertex, and okay, the black means privacy through cryptographic systems. Well, we have this project, the NEO Compiler Data. Please, if you can try on your phone. Please put HTTPS before because currently we are having some redirection problems. We are planning on launching the app on the phone for Android and for Mac users, iPhone users. The idea is to simplify the process of developing smart contracts. As a professor in Brazil in the computer science field, we know that it's hard to teach people to program. Even the standard CPU, it's hard. In smart contract is even harder because there are many things in the ecosystem. The guy has to turn up the compiler, then the private network, then all the testing stuff. So we wanted to put all this together. We have a picture here. This is more or less our idea. We are integrating all the available tools. In the moment, for example, the C# compiler, the Python compiler, we have a great team in City of Zion doing a great job also. So we are integrating all these tools in a single place. And you can just open the website, program, generate the VM, test your code. So the idea is to have a simplified, at least to try, to learn. Obviously, when you are an experienced programmer, you can do that in your computer. You can have your own private network. This is natural. But for people that want to teach, like how to start, then you can just tell them, open this, write this, do this, then you can test your code. It's really easy. We have to split 50-50.
It's hard to speak after Peter and Igor. It's not easy. But I'll give some different perspective.
No, you can talk about the prize.
Okay, yeah, we recently offered a Python prize, a prize for Python developers in order to improve the Python backend for the pure Python version, not the new BOA compiler. But it's a thing that will help the whole ecosystem. So we have these things turning up, accepting our challenge. That is really hard. But the message is that we are connected to science in general. So we are trying to improve all the technologies in the blockchain scenario, mainly on NEO. We have this sidechain.org initiative that is our DApp that we already have on testnet, but we are still improving. And the idea is to put science on the blockchain. For those who are not very used to the terms in science, when we publish a paper or when you do a scientific discovery, usually you send this to an academic journal. You have people that will judge if your work is relevant or not. And the idea is to do this blindly. Usually this is called double-blind principle, where you don't know who is reviewing your paper and the guy doesn't know who you are. But in general, sometimes, when things are not very transparent, the guy can sometimes know who is the reviewer and the guy is his friend. So we have many issues in science. But with a transparent ledger, we can do that officially, transparently, and secretly at the same time. So we believe we can move toward a more transparent science, and we are open to partnership with the biggest journal publishers. And we believe that our platform will be the best one, the most suitable one for this thing. it's interesting that this project started in 2016, and at that time we were thinking on Ethereum network, but soon we concluded that we couldn't do that on Ethereum network because of the prices and the huge oscillation values. So it's nice to know that NEO is the best platform for us, that we really believe that this is the place to put this platform. That is a huge and beautiful idea in our opinion. Well, Vitor.
That's it. It's hard to talk after Vitor Igor, but I want to put something that's like, everything is connected. I mostly work with smart cities and smart grids, renewable energy. If we start to think about the cities of the future, because a lot of people use this terminology, smart cities, digital cities, but if we imagine the citizens gonna use this in a kind of sense that technology gonna be transparent to them. So all these things that we are putting together, it's a kind of Internet of Things. All the things that Didos, for example, said about key-link, it's incredible if we start to think about the future, that everything gonna be connected and transparent to those who use it. So these nodes, for example, that we have nowadays, everything decentralized, we should not deny that society look for profits. So each node has their ambitions. So it's a fully decentralized system. So we are really thankful to NEO in the way it was designed. Because NEO allow us to perform this kind of researches on multi-agent systems, on different protocols, that's not so much open in technologies like Ethereum, like Bitcoin. They are open, actually. They are open source projects. But I mean, the way that NEO was designed, we can now work in improving this system that was already something that academia has been dealing with. So I think there is a lot of things that can be done. We are not saying that it's not efficient or not efficient. We mean we can always improve. So, and this is something about that we should be in agreement with different languages. So we should all evolve in a very friendship way. We should do a free knowledge exchange journey. So this is only to highlight that research has a whole of also like being in agreements. This is like an example that we found that it's not in the main net, but it's in the test net, but the blockchain can follow different paths, let's say. Maybe, no? Yeah. Only this.
Okay. And these are studies we are doing, like in situations where consensus may turn in different directions or not. So this is important to know that all the technologies involved in NEO, when you have like many different consensus nodes in different technologies, if they will work together or not. So this is things that we are constantly working. Another thing that we are working is like efficiency on different compilers. Like NEO has this purpose of working in different languages, we have these situations where one compiler is better in some situations and the other has in others. So we are raising these results. For example, here, Python compiler in sometimes produces more push bytes operation, C# more NOPS operation. So there are things that we can raise this information and take some decisions and say why is this generation this thing, what is good in one, what is better in the other. When you have just one, you won't accept. You have your code, that's your code, okay. But when you have two at least, and we have more, we can compare and make it better. So this is one of our ideas.
Some illustrations that when we talk about consensus, we talk about multi-objective things and multi-criteria optimization. I mean, all these languages, all these wishes, they can all be put together. Each one, when the idea now that we have is that in the NEO compiler, when we start it locally in our computer, it's like creating an ontology. So ontology really fascinates me because I always think about the potential that we really have to offering this service to private companies. For example, you offer this service to a bank or to someone that needs to keep some really private information that he doesn't want to put this in the public blockchain, even if it's safe, but he doesn't want to trust in you right now. So it's a different kind of objective. So for example, some people can put it in the private networks and publish that hash in the NEO blockchain, but at the same time, we are creating private networks. So when we are creating these private networks, we are now facing some problem of wishes. What do you want to optimize and which objective do you want to maximize or minimize in your private network? Do you want reliability? Do you want speed? So this kind of tools, I'm really happy to see these tools because some years ago it was not possible to use this kind of short diagrams, parallel coordinates. It's some tools that like Rolls-Royce and these companies that work with car, I've been in England to work with them. They need to optimize them, and sometimes they have full of parameters that they don't even know what to optimize. And we can apply it. I don't know if we're gonna really reach this thing, but we can use this kind of representations to try to optimize the network. We can reduce problems because it's something we know. There are different objectives to be optimized when we talk about consensus and all the blockchain. So we can reduce the problem and try to find the trade-offs. We call trade-offs. When something is high, when something is maximum, the other one is minimum. There is always a trade-off. If we talk about vehicle routing problems, optimizing the route that a vehicle takes can give the company more profit. On the other hand, it can produce more CO2 emissions. So there is always a trade-off. And this trade-off is nature in our lives and in the world. So it's trying to apply these things in order to optimize the consensus in general. And the idea is that what we are trying to do now is taking this idea of creating the public blockchain that City of Zion really invested in it. City of Zion creates different tools that proportionated to us this ability to easily create some things that we are using now. So we are really thankful to everyone around the world that contributed until now to reach the point that we are now. We are really happy, that's true, because we didn't need to do a lot of efforts to reach the point that we are. There are people from all over the world that are contributing. So the idea now is to concatenate all these issues and, for example, create a new testnet that we have parameters that we can create a competition. And those who want to join, it's not easy. For example, we can create a competition that is like this. We have some parameters on the testnet. Let's say the consensus time or the consensus and let's say time to sync or the AVM. The amount of time that the client is taking to understand the AVM code. My brother works with data flow things and trying to optimize this machine, how the NEO really interprets the opcodes. So imagine now that we can select some of these parameters and we can create a competition. Not a competition in terms of who's gonna win, but I mean, let's motivate people to create their private networks. That is also good for ontology, because people are creating private networks and starting to establish this kind of blockchains in their own computing, showing the powerful that we have nowadays in our personal devices. So let's now motivate people to create this and send us their reports. So with your reports, we could now select, oh, this guy did a good report, he did the right experiments. So with these things, imagine that we can even create a testnet that is self-adjusted. So we can try to, in a long-term idea, optimize the network itself.
Well, okay, just the concluding remarks. We are opening in Brazil the Millennium Foundation, Millennium Institute, in fact, to handle these open source projects related to research, and the Save Institute to deal with the profit part of the debt development and stuff. So we thank a lot for your attention. And if you want to join the projects, we are welcome. You can send emails or follow our links. Thank you very much.